I feel you on that one.
Alrighty, so we're doing a VOD review for Mr. FluffyRuffs. We're going to be playing on the map Jaguar Falls with a champion term. Your role for this game is going to be point contest, as well as being an enabler. What an enabler is basically just creating opportunities for your team to either get things done or save them in ways. You're basically gonna be using this whole game just for a second life. You don't really have a way to use it in an aggressive way other than being aggressive, dying on purpose, and ulting for a second life. For buys, a typical buys on term is going to be nimble. I feel like your first buys could be like nimble resil, but you could just double nimble off the beginning if you're confident that you can avoid the beams. But nimble resil, haven, just so that later in the game you're a little more tanky, and then whatever your filler card will basically be a situational card in a sense where whatever you feel like you need, you'll buy. Right, so looking at their team comp, looking at your team comp, your comp will have more point control. But as the tournament is here, you need to be focusing on basically milking the point as much as you can, whenever you can, because if they're not on the point, right, you're putting them on a timer. So, without further ado, let's get into the actual VOD. Should we move? Let's see. Alrighty, so we're gonna speed it a little bit, try to catch up. You will look at your build as you're leaving spawn.
It's a little blurry on Discord, by the way.
Actually, it'll probably clear up in a bit.
Let the battle begin.
Alrighty, so not really sure. Oh, the pause going to. We're gonna wait till you actually leave spawn. I'm gonna slow it down here. We are gonna look at your build very quickly. Abomination 5, good. A little bit of self-sustain. It watches 1. This is all good. Honestly, this is your filler card. These two here, you could put almost anything in there. I'm a big fan of either reducing the slow, in which when you have your siphon up, right? Or God, this tab button is stuck. Or I like leap distance. So all up to you. This is a little map, so you don't really need it. So if you want the extra HP, it's fine. You are running crush. When I do run crush, I like to run a build that has the card that reduces my Shatterfall when I have my siphon up. So maybe think about making a build like that so that you can actually have a little bit more more slams in a sense. So you're walking up mid here. You do see the Nando. Right here, you're kind of just gaining information right now. So you don't really have to do much. Try not to waste too much of your siphon here because you aren't really getting shot. And if anything, getting shot in the beginning is not a big deal, especially if it's like tickle damage, because you'll be giving your support ult charge. Good here. I wouldn't walk into dark here. I would have sat on the wall and then head back into mid, but that's not that big of a deal. So, Fire wastes fire here. You're fine. So right here, instead of siphoning, since you're not getting shot at, you are running it watches. So you could probably just take like a swing, like one swing onto the nano shield. What that would do is that'll put a quick 650 damage into a shield, and it'll give you a little bit of siphon back. So there you go. Go. Right here, you're just contesting, you're doing your job. So right now, I really want you to abuse the fact that you have Abomination 5. Make sure that you're like, whenever you have downtime, you're not getting shot at, throw those Calamity Blasts into the shield. It will give you reset. And basically, the more time your siphon is full, the better off you'll be. So right here, like you could have, instead of being at half, you would have probably been at 75% if you're using your Calamity Blast, like a little more, I guess, aggressive in a sense of a regen. There's fire on the point. So right here, you have 36%. They have 27. You are also down 1, so they should be looking to aggress here. Your thought process here should be to start backing up, get a soft reset in, make sure everybody on your team's okay, and then walk back in as your Makoa coming back. So right here, I feel like maybe the Fury predicts that you're going to look for a stun here and get hit with a beam, and that gets you killed. Right? If you live there, your Makoa comes back, and y'all should be good, but you kind of just jump into a beam. So right there, you should have called for your team to reset the soft reset there. It's okay to give them a little bit of cap as long as everybody lives and y'all come in and get a second fight in. Now though, it's going to be almost impossible to get a second fight in because everybody's staggered out. Oh, he did change numbers. Alrighty. So you are looking for a second touch here. Siphoning. So, I mean, there's not much you could have really did there. You did get the touch there. I probably would have just thrown out my damage right before I died. You did get a touch and you gave your team a second fight there, so. Coming back out, you probably should have bought Brazil 1 to start building stacks on that. When it comes to playing this map, you should either be holding W or you should be holding this choke here. This choke is not the best choke to hold, especially since you have a Willow. You want to abuse the fact that you get a high ground for free, and they have to push into your high ground, whether she's up here or she's over there. So understand, if you guys want to just sit back and set up for a fight here, you can. You can just let your team know, hey, let's back up and let's pop Willow ult and walk in the second they walk through the choke. That is the wrong person. So right here, you're a little too focused on swinging on the Nando. As I've said in other videos and things like that, the weakest part of Term's kit is going to be his axe. So every time you're swinging, not only are you know, like, you have to reach for people because the range isn't really that big, but you're opening yourself up to damage. So every swing you take is a lockout period before you put the siphon back up, unless you do the double swing thing. But yeah, so you gotta be careful because you're turning your back to, like, away from the Tyra to try to swing at Nando when Tyra's the bigger threat there. There you go. You do get a pick here. Right here, you can hit your head on this thing and get a stun. You look for that. That's good. Nice. You should be holding W here. W, 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 W. Forward, forward, forward. So you are the main tank. You should be in the main lane. Right here, you should be taking as much space as you can. Walk forward, walk forward. You want to get as many fights. So right here, like, you just wasted, like, all your siphon on absolutely nothing. No one's even looking your direction. So you gotta make sure that you're managing your siphon better. Because if they notice that, right, they shove you because you don't have the resource to defend yourself anymore. So right here, you gotta really think, like, if you're not gonna shove here, right, as the term, and you can't just float here, right? You gotta look to try to, like, give your team siphon or enable something. Like, you could save, if you react to this faster instead of sitting back for so long, you might actually be able to save your Willow here. So you lose one, that's okay though. You gotta make sure that you keep fighting forward here. You don't want to back up for free. You can siphon your co out, this is good. Throw your charges into the shield, get your siphon back. So right there, if you would have just thrown your charges into the shield, you could have siphoned and your Koa would have got out and y'all would have been able to take an aggressive fight here. Even though they pop Fury ult and you probably still lose, every second that you waste matters, right? So you got to keep that in mind.
Siphon? He regained Siphon on shields as well?
Yes, yes.
Because that's something I kind of, like, shy from doing, because I don't know if I'm gonna get it back or not. I should have probably tested it out. I can get my charges way faster. I mean, not my charges, I can get my Siphon up way faster if I just continuously spam it into shields.
So
the shields go down quicker. Right
here as a term, I really feel like you shouldn't be face here. I feel like the Makoa should be here. In my opinion, you should be playing this side right here. You're just chilling, because if anything does go secret, you could just make the rotation if you really have to. But if you let's say by playing right here, what this does is the big thing that I really don't like to see is it's called playing 3 lanes. So 1, 2, 3. You don't want to try to cover every single lane. You want to, like, hard cover 2 lanes, so that if you need to rotate here, this lane will rotate to this lane, and then you'll rotate to this lane, right? It's way too hard to spread your resources out to 3 lanes compared to 2. So what you should be doing is you should be playing here while your Koa's playing here with probably the Willow, and then your Zen will be here. What you could do is you could just look down main. By looking down main, you're just gathering information. You're seeing if anybody's going this way or this way. If they try to hard shove this, you just rotate here and you just help this lane, right? But if they don't, the left lane should win because they only have 1 tank, and if they're not sending the tank here, there's no way they're shoving this out. So your Koa is down. So honestly, since your Koa's down, I really don't like that you're playing so far up here. I honestly would have probably backed up a little bit, try to like stay around the team, because right now you guys are very split, and in our reality, if they really wanted to, they probably could run at your back line here and probably get a pick before Koa comes back.
30 seconds remaining.
So luckily they are a very passive team and they don't do that, right? My guy, you get hit by way too many beams. You need to buy resilience. So, Koa gets forced out. So now you're going to look to get touch here.
2, 1.
So right here, what I would do is I would not jump in here. Just same thing with swinging. When you're jumping, if you're jumping for no reason, you're going to get punished. You're going to get shot. There's a lockout between when you slam, you get back up, and you could put your hand back up. I would have just walked in. Your Koa's fine. He's in shield. And you could honestly just chill near the shield. And the second the shield drops, or if he needs to walk out, you can siphon him out. I feel like right here, you just prioritize peeling for the Koa. Don't worry about swinging. Stunned here again. And since since you're being so aggressive, you kind of open yourself up to the beam there, and now you die, and then now you're kind of forced to ult here. In our reality too, I'm not even a real big fan of that ult, because I honestly would probably prefer you to save your ult for the mid. But you guys do end up defending this. You just gotta hope that they waste enough ults to make it worth. Alrighty, so you do have number 3. You should be buying Resil now. Here we go. Gonna start helping you with those beams.
Capture point spawning in 15 seconds.
All right.
4, 3, 2.
The same rollout here. So as a tank player, information is going to be a big part of your job. So you're gonna want to try to get like right here. The reasoning for that is so like at the corner of your eye, you can kind of see what's going on here. You want to know if anybody's going through here, right? So that you can be an early you can early alert your Willow, as well as maybe you can even hit them with a right click or something. So basically, what I would like to see is push up here a little bit, and you can siphon. You see anything? Yes, you call it out, and if you need to back up, you can just back up to here, right? Because your team should be here. If they're going left and mid, that means rights for free, so you should get dark for free. So you shouldn't really have to worry about rotating in here and looking to play from this side, maybe even rotating over there if they rotate again, and then from here. But try your best to look for that by playing around here in the beginning, because he gets by. Stay on the point. Stay on the point. Stay on the point. Stay on the point. Don't walk in, and don't walk into the beam. Because honestly, you probably could have got 2 picks there. If you would have probably stayed in here, and if you had the car, you hold your siphon up. In our reality, you probably could have jumped in here, hit both of them with stun, and killed them both. And even if you die there and you leave the point, you get 2 picks, and that's value. But stop getting hit by beams. Be better. You're making that Fury look like a god.
That beam got so much value because I just walked into them as well.
Righty, so making sure you're buying items when you're dead. You can afford Rezel 2. You need it. Those beams are ripping you to pieces. Don't know if you meant to get the double jump out of the touching the fire. And I'm pretty sure you didn't, 'cause I think you called out you were going to stun the Nando. But it ended up working out in the end. Walk up, walk up. You should be with your Willow here. Your Willow should not die here. Honestly, a little bit on the Willow, because you could have just backed up this way, but this little hesitation you did, it shouldn't happen. You should be up here. You should know that if your support's alive, you don't have to be on point, right? So you should just default walk forward. Forward, forward. No! Walk up. See what's going on? Like, from right here, you can see the right lane. There's like you shouldn't really be too worried about if somebody's back there. They didn't have enough time to get back there. But now mid lane's up. It's opened up. Hopefully, Grover gets a big root. Nobody fast is getting through. Tyra gets through. She's going to kill the Tyra here. Good stun. Hyping up here. You gotta stay on point. There you go. Good siphon. Gotta live, gotta live, gotta live. So you did lose a little bit sight of your Grover, and your Grover ended up getting picked there. Just gotta make sure you keep your head on a swivel. You can make peels like that. So you must have ult here. Whenever you don't have ult, I want you to be constantly chucking out the Calamity Blast. You want to build up your ult. There's been too many times I've seen other terms as well as myself, where you die and your ult just doesn't come up fast enough because you die and it gets to 98%. So gotta keep that in mind. You want to always try to have your ult. You're fine here. Make sure that you're abusing cover, right? Because you don't want to be forced to use your siphon. So for example here, Tyra's there, and you could just abuse this little angle like this while the cart's pushing around. Make sure you're abusing natural cover, because you don't have to siphon there. And right here, in our reality, you don't need to peel for this. You can keep the cart moving. If they want to ignore you and the Willow, you kill the Tyra, and now you guys create a pincer here. You don't need to peel for this. Look at stun the Tyra. Stun the Tyra. Oh, way too far. So right here, the cart could have already been like halfway to the choke. But now people are dead. Now you get a reset here. So like, what the problem that basically how I would address that would be, you're just trying to do too much, and that's a problem that a lot of main tank players have, is they want to do so much when at the end of the day sometimes your job is just to sit on the point and keep it moving.
Enemy killing spree. Enemy double. Enemy rampage.
Go forward. So what I want you to do is I want you to look up here, right? There are 2 alive. Nando's still on spawn. Fury is about to come back up. Well, so we'll say 3, right? We'll change this to a 3, right? And she's going to be dead for a while. There is no way with these 3 characters that they're going to be able to take this space, right? So you don't need to take it. You go through the mid and into their spawn. You take advantage that they have people down, and you take as much space as possible. You don't need to go to phase. You just don't need to. Your DPS can play around there if they have the range, but if they don't, you should be looking to really get into their spawn here. So right, so like this, like here, I'm gonna give you a visualization, right? So, as the term, you want to be here. What is faster when you started here? Is it this, or is it this? You see what I'm saying? Like by you taking this long route here, you're giving them time to gain space, right? And then what might make it worse is, let's say you go this way and then Koa's already here, so you're like, oh, okay, and then you go this way, and that makes it twice as worse, because now you're giving them double the time to set up, right? You gotta be aware of how much time they have, like how much time they have left on their respawns, right? And you gotta abuse the fact that you can literally keep them in spawn if you get there fast enough. So let's see what happens here. right? So then, like, by the time you get there, Nando's already back. You could have been, like, basically in their spawn. But luckily they stagger, so they get a pick. Well, y'all get a pick. You guys should be good here. So right here, you can tell your support that you can push the card, which is fine. But at the same time, you can look to be getting offlane pressure. Like, there's nothing wrong with you walking at this right now, right? There's no way he can peel for this. And by you pushing this here, you create space for your team. And, you know, your Grover can push, your Koa can push. Don't be afraid to tell people, like, hey, can you get on? And you walk forward, right? Because you have 2 tanks, right? Just because you're the main tank doesn't mean that you always have to be on the point. There's a lot of times where, as a main tank, I used to tell my off tank to get on the point, or at least play this corner so he could push card in, and I would just shove their spawn. Right here, like right here, you could be looking for a very aggressive push here. And another thing too is your Xin does have ult, so you could call, like, by you diving that Tyra, and if Xin does ult the Nando there, like, there's no way they'll have enough damage to burn through the Xin. As well as you could just tell Xin to ult the Nando, you can siphon him as well. Right? So right here, there's 3 people left. In all reality here, you got 2 teammates. You got 2 teammates here. You can let them know collapse left side and you can go in. But right here, you're playing way too passive, you're playing way too scared. Like, you have your ult, right? And if you're popping term ult to get a push in, but you're saving the rest of the ults, like, it doesn't matter. Like, that's okay. She's playing a little too scared, in my opinion. Siphon. You lose your Xin. You get a trade, but you're probably gonna lose Koa here. You're down 2. You're down 1 now, yeah. You're feeling back with a Tyra. Hit your head. This is good, but too much healing. You can siphon your support out. Throw it into the shield. So, no, you don't need to. Save it for next fight. Tyra's there. So right here, you know that you guys know that you're gonna have to probably get a touch here. So I would have held this wall here, right? I would have tried to get a touch, right? Because what you could do is, you could sit this wall and then you can walk in and you can touch, and it doesn't matter if you die because you have ult, right? And then your ult will be the ult that you guys use to finish this push.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4.
Right here, you kind of dilly-dally left and right, and you don't ever really go forward, so there's no way you're going to get a touch here. And then you die back here anyways, so you're going to lose all these charges, you know, so just being aware of opportunities you can take of, like, being aggressive. So, got a lot of credits. Make sure you maxing out that refill, starting to buy some Haven. There you go. Look at the Nando. Is he building master riding? It does not have master riding, so you don't need to really worry about that too much. You see them go left. This is a call you can make. You should be looking for dismounts. Dismount. Yeah, there you go. Hit the Nando. This is fine. They firebomb the point. Stay around the point. You don't need to go over there. Right? Stay here. Chill. Take a little bit of fire damage. It's okay. On, off, on. You know, like, just chill here. Right? You gotta go over. You'll get healed up. You want to get as much cap early as possible. This does end up working out for you though, because the Nando doesn't feel for his team at all. And then they get funneled in here. But you still could have possibly had your ult if you would have just played it a little bit slower. So right here, as you're sitting in main, your responsibility is going to be here and here, primarily here. But yeah, so these two, you focus here. I don't want you looking here. Oh, hold on. So your focus should be here and here. Don't look over here. Don't look over here. That is your teammate's responsibility, right? These two are your focus. So one dismount. Nando's their touch. There you go. Perfect. You see that they're pushing right here. So honestly, you could just back up the point, right? Or what you could do is, yeah, so right here, you can start backing up. And what could happen here is you can let your Koa can pull back here and contest here. and then you, as a term, can come this way, walk into dark, peel for your Zen, and then make it hard for them to just walk in. Right. And the reasoning for that is because obviously your Grover can cap, right? As well as like by you sitting on point, you're kind of letting them walk into dark for free, where you can be here and you can kind of be like a wall in a sense. You can do damage, whatever. But my only thing is you don't have your ult here, so it might be a little risky to play like that. So you just got to be wary. So you might, since you don't have ult, you might want to just sit here. See, Nando has shield. Nando touches, you can look for a stun. Fury has no beam. Nando dies. Ooh, nope. Nando's dead. Go. Finish his Genos. Speed us up a little bit. So right here, it is another info thing, right? What you should be looking to do is gathering information, right? You see that there's 3 people here, there's 2 dead, that means there's nobody here. Tell your team to take face now, there's no way they can contest it. Another thing that you can be using your info for is they do only have 1 tank, so if Nando's in mid, they can't contest this, and if Nando's here, they can't contest this area. So in our reality, if Nando wants to try to cover this side, you can either go mid or here with your Zen and cause a lot of and create a lot of space through mid as well. You're gonna have climb up in a bit, so I would start holding W. Good. So now right here, like you don't need to push card, right? Let your Grover push, and then you can start working up here with your Zen, right? And then what you can do is you can play right here, and with your Zen you can siphon, and then you can dig in this corner right here, or like right here, right? So you can play from right here, siphon your Zen, and then you can just play in this corner, and either they run past you or they allow you to dive them because they ignore you, right? So right here you need to be taking space. That should be GG. And you win the game. So a big thing to keep in mind there is you're running Abomination 5, so especially when you don't have a lot of charges like stacked up, just look for right clicks, right? You want to look to poke and get your shield back up. Getting information as a main thing is very huge, right? Calling out important CDs as well as rotations is very good. There's ways that, like, for example, while you're rolling out to mid, by hugging the right side, since you know your team has kind of Jag/dark control, you can hug right side, which will give you an angle to see inside of Sun. That will create an opportunity for you to get a possible dismount, as well as just get overall information on if anybody is in Sun to help out your backline. Don't swing too aggressively. Don't jump for no reason, because that just creates a lot of opportunities for the enemy to punish you. What else? Oh yeah, and don't be afraid to take space, man. Like there's a lot of opportunities where you could just take more space because your team has earned it, and you're not, right? So make sure you're doing those 3 things a little bit more, just playing a little bit more safe in the regard of not swinging and jumping and giving free damage, taking more space and getting more information, right? Because information is king. The more you know, the more your team knows, the better. It will allow you guys to game plan / shot call a lot easier. It's a lot easier to make a plan where you know where everybody's at, than to make a plan when you don't know where everybody's at. Alrighty, without further ado, that is going to be the review for Mr. FluffyRuffs. If you liked the video, definitely leave a like, subscribe to keep up with the guides and the VOD reviews, and I will see y'all in the next one. Take care.